There it is. Okay. Afternoon, fangirls and fanboys. It's the 99th episode of Electric Fan Cave on electricfeast.com, and we are so glad you're here. Our enthusiasm is cranked to 11 this week for multiple reasons, everybody. We've got trailers for Independence Day, XMen, and Magnificent 7 to freak out about, as well as a new character vignette on Kevin from Ghostbusters. Most importantly, though, we met the amazing Chris O'Dowd, and we want to tell you all about it. So, settle in with your sandwich and your snack pack. This lunch break is getting a fan-caved.
Yes!
Man, oh man. Man, oh man, Kristen.
Man, I know. Oh man, I also said Kristen as well, which is weird. That's my name. I know. Your name is Corey. Corey. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. The things that have happened.
It has been quite a week, has it not?
It has been quite a week. So many things I don't even know where should we begin. Should we just go in order? Should we start with Saturday and then go to Sunday? Or should we go all the way back and start with the trailers we saw last week and then move forward? I feel like we should start with the most exciting news from this weekend. Yeah. So
I think
why don't you start with Saturday night? Because I feel like that was, and please tell the story, Jerry's story. Just start from the beginning.
Okay. It's actually a pretty funny story. So I went down to Southern California Saturday, and I was planning to go to the Newport Beach Film Festival, which we'll talk about again in a moment. But so I'm staying with our friends Jerry and Emily, and you've seen Jerry on the show before, Jerry Fuentes, and we're sitting on his couch. It's like 12:30, right? It's late. Jerry's been drinking for a while since he and Emily had been there. I got there kind of late. I wasn't drinking as much, but so we're sitting there on the couch, and I look at Facebook, and I'm like, whoa, Jerry, Aisha Tyler is at Nellie's right now. And for those of you that listen regularly, you know Dirty Nellie's is our, local. It's the place that we go all the time. We have all our birthdays there. We quiz there. We just generally hang out there. It's our cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's definitely our cheers. So I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, people are posting pictures of Aisha Tyler right now. And, Jerry's a parent. He's usually a little subdued. He doesn't really go out a lot, just kind of like chills at home with the kid and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, whoa. And he's like, is she still there? And I'm like, yeah, from everything I can see, she's apparently still there. So he gets up without a word, walks into his bedroom. I'm like, oh, okay. Peace out, Jerry.
See you, Jerry.
Comes back out wearing pants, like he had been wearing pajama pants before. He puts on like real pants, and he's like, "So you're good to drive, right?" No conversation about it whatsoever.
So good.
This is happening.
So good.
I love it at 12:30 at night, we drive down to Dirty Nellie's, just to sort of be in the same room as Aisha Tyler here. And I said to her, I was like, oh, hey, I'm a big fan or whatever. I didn't go and try to make conversation with her or anything. I was just like, this is cool. Hey, neat. But so we're sitting there at the counter too. And all of a sudden Jerry realizes that the girl who was with Aisha Tyler, and she's with like a group of people because she had a short film that was premiering at the Newport Beach Film Festival. So the girl who's with her is Emily Bett Rickards or Ricard or something like that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Rickards. Yeah. And she is from the show Arrow, which I've never seen, but Jerry has seen every episode.
Yeah. So Felicity Smoke from Arrow. Those of you who watch
from Arrow. And Jerry just freaks out, also having had, beer and whiskey and so forth. And he's just like, he realized, because he had said hi to her, not realizing who she was, and was like, and she smiled at me and all this kind of stuff. And so he's sitting there just sort of like despondent. And I have a great video of it that I Snapchatted of him going, it was Felicity.
I didn't know it was her. And he's like,
I didn't know. And he puts his head in his hands and goes, oh crap. He just, missed his opportunity or something like that.
Missed it.
Yes. That was pretty great. So we it was like, one of her friends sang Prince, and we just danced next to Aisha Tyler and enjoyed it at our local. And it was just cool because she's cool. I mean, she's just cool, and she's so tall.
I missed out on this. No one told me about it. So, but I did
it was
get,
way past Kristen's bedtime. We all know this. So,
though, because, and then Corey had posted a video like, Aisha Tyler's at my cheers, and I was like, wait, what the heck? And then my notifications, I had Jerry had written on my wall like, I talked to Felicity Smoke at Nellie's. I'm like, why are these people all there, and why did nobody call me?
I know, it was, nobody thought you were going to be awake at 2 o'clock in the morning.
That's valid. That's a totally valid thing. So I'm really not that mad about it. It's just more I was a little bit bummed, but
it was just a funny thing too, because it just happened to be that this week, like, none of the regulars were at Nellie's. Like, it was fairly empty in there. There was like one party of like, 10 people in the back, and then there was like Tyler's party, and like nobody that was normally at Nellie's was actually there. So I was like, oh my God, I feel like this is a Pixar it didn't happen situation, because like nobody is going to believe this,
here
no
to back me up on this.
Yeah, it was bonkers. So that happened. But then Sunday.
So on what day was it? I think it was Saturday even, or I don't know when you posted it, but
Saturday,
so
like
Corey
11 up.
Randomly opened her email and saw that the Newport Beach Film Festival is going on. It's like a week-long film festival. And they were having a Q&A session, free Q&A session with Chris O'Dowd. And she's like, oh my gosh, does anyone want to go with me? And I was like, this is tomorrow. Like, here in Newport Beach. Like, yes, of course. I'm like, oh, I don't have to drive to LA. Because if it was going to be somewhere I had to drive, I'm like, no dice. I'm not doing that. But I was like, yes, it's free. It's free. It's in Newport Beach. Like, yes, I would love to do that. So, so Corey and then our friend Long and I kind of meet up at the City Hall in Newport Beach, which in itself is already a ridiculous place to begin with.
No, I got so lost.
It's just such a ridiculous place. The buildings look like waves. It's like, come on, Newport Beach. Like, you guys are very Newport. You're the worst. So we get there early. We're like, oh, we should probably get there early just in case. Like, a ton of people are probably going to show up. There'll be a line. We want to make sure we get in, Yeah. And we get there and I call her. I get there at like 12:05 and I was like, yeah, there's nobody here. Like, there is not anybody here. Like, we're fine. And so, so I get there. So Corey walks up and we're standing there. Sorry, children outside my window. Hi. And so Corey shows up, we walk up and there's like this session getting out and we're like, oh, is this where Chris O'Dowd's going to be, And the lady's like, oh yeah, it's happening a little bit. You just have to wait. And we're like, okay, great. So we stand there like legitimate. First of all, we were not cool enough to be there. I had like like a Guardians of the Galaxy t-shirt on and shorts. Like, there was a guy with no shoes on wearing loafers and a man bun. And I was like, that's because it's like a film festival. These people like make film. They don't just watch comic movies like we do. So, anyway, so we're waiting and it's just like very exciting thing. And they let us in and you guys, he was like we were the front row. I mean, he was like 6 feet from us.
This was like, we're like standing in line, right? And with all these like super cool people. So first thing, like this girl, like probably an intern or whatever, walks down the line with like a phone. I don't know if she was periscoping or what.
Something.
But she's like, who's excited for Chris O'Dowd? And everyone's kind of like, hey. And we're like woo! She walks back and she's like, thank you for being enthusiastic. And I was like, oh, that's us at a 4. That's
we didn't even get full. You didn't even get full fan cave right there.
Yeah. And so, like, when we go inside, like, a woman's like, please sit as close to the front as you can. And we're like, oh, yeah. Try and stop us.
I was like, because if you're going to try to give me that VIP-ish where only the front row is, like, friends and family, like, you are going to be sadly mistaken, ma'am.
Yeah. No, we're like, it's Chris O'Dowd. We're going to be up in front. And you guys, like, just for framing this out, again, if you don't listen to the Fan Cave regularly, like, Moon Boy is a thing we talk about all the time. It's just the most
we had an entire episode that was like about the season two.
We did. The picture on I didn't even like Photoshop anything together for the like banner of that episode. It was literally just the cover of Moon Boy, like the poster for Moon Boy. Like, we're obsessed. And I love IT Crowd. I've dressed as Moss for Halloween before. Like, the Sapphires is amazing. Oh my God. Chris O'Dowd.
Since O'Dowd from Bridesmaids, I'm like, you should put Sapphires up there because that movie is incredible.
Yeah, he's in so many amazing things. He's just one of those actors that it's like every time you put him in something, I'm like, yes, I'm in. And Moon Boy is really kind of the like the crown on all of that, I think, for both of us is
Right.
just, on top of all these other wonderful things that he's been in. So
Yeah.
we have fangirled out about Chris O'Dowd and Moon Boy so many times. And so front row, we get to go see this.
Yeah, and he was delightful, just really funny. The interviewer seemed nervous, or like someone maybe who doesn't speak in public very often, so he was a little bit nervous, but and so it was a little like...
This was I compared him. I was explaining him to Keo earlier, and I was like, so if you took Tobias Funke and you fused him with the Vanessa Bayer character that is a little boy who's getting bar mitzvahed or whatever, and every time like someone tries to interrupt him to like make a joke or something like that, he just smiles and then looks back down at his binder again.
Yeah,
like that's what, because it was like Chris O'Dowd gives these amazing answers to even questions that aren't that interesting,
right?
And then this guy like doesn't really interact with the answer. He then just looks back down and asks the next one.
Yeah, and you're like, he was like the things that he was saying was so just gold. And then it was great because he would say something that sounded very almost like fortune cookie-y. Yeah. And he'd say it and then he'd go like, oh God, like what the hell? You know what I mean? Like he's even like calling out himself for being ridiculous. Yeah. And
he's like, oh, it must be the sea air around here.
Yeah, it must be the sea air. And like he was just charming as charming can be. And then it was great because at the end they took some questions from the audience, and there was people there who were like legitimately like wanting to be in film and screenwriting, and he does both. So he did both a writer and an actor, and so they were asking very like real questions, like, well, how do you like, what's kind of your process, whatever. And I felt like he was so gracious about it. Like, yeah, that's a great question. Like, well, this is what I do.
And I loved when he asked someone else, like, someone asked him about like what are his routines and stuff like that. And after he answered the question, he then was like, what do you do?
Yeah, because they both had a young kid too. They both had young children, and he's like, since I've had the kid, it's been kind of hard to figure out how to make it work. And so he was like, so then he was like back to him, and then it was just this like delightful little banter back and forth, which was so cute. So it was just fun. And then afterwards, he kind of went off to the side, and again, so the thing that started, Corey and I thought we were like in line, and then we ended up like at the end of the line to get in, so not end, but like not the beginning, and then we thought we were like, first in line to like chat with him. And then we realized we were not even in the line. They're like, you need to go stand in line. I'm like, we started this thing in the first place. Anyway, so we like walked around, and I was, anyway, the thing, and I think I've said it probably more, I should say it more. I was so thankful that you were there with me, because I can't do it. Like I just don't know what to do with my hands, with my life. And so we walk up, and you should tell this part because it's your story, and then I'll kind of pack on when we walk up to him. And
so we make our approach to Chris O'Dowd. And I decided that because, we love Chris O'Dowd so much and we've talked about him so much on this show, that we should give him a Fancave pin, which I'm like, whatever, you can do what you want with it. I just want to like put it in your paws, that's all. It's just to be like, Chris O'Dowd held our pin.
Like you can totally throw this away after, like.
Yeah, like no big deal. I hand him like the pin, and we're talking to him, and I'm like, oh, my name's Corrigan, and he puts the pin on, and he makes a joke about, he's like, oh, I'll wear it for the duration of this photo.
Hugged you, and that part. I forgot. That was the part.
It was like we walked up, and immediately what happened to Kristen with John Polono, that walked up, and he like just immediately reaches his arms out and like embraces me and gives me a kiss on the cheek, and I'm like,
and
I'm delightful.
And I'm starting to sweat in a panic.
Yeah, Kristen's like, oh no, I can't. I don't
do that. And so I'm like, oh God. But luckily, because I was sort of behind Corey, he just kind of like reached up for a high five. I was like, oh, thank you, sweet Lord in heaven has answered my, calls for help. And I was like, I can do a high five. I'm freaking awesome at high fives.
Yeah.
And so luckily I was saved from that terribleness. But then so we give him the pin, and he
of the
says,
two of us, I'm the hugger, Kristen's the high fiver.
Yeah, I'm the high fiver.
But so then, he puts the pin on, and you can actually see there's a video on my Instagram of this. My Instagram is @thecorrigan, of him saying, he's like, yeah, I'll wear this for the duration of this photo. And then we're like, yeah. And then he's like, no, I'll wear it for the rest of the day. And sure enough, if you look at pictures on Instagram, he's wearing our pin throughout the rest of the photos with him.
It's very exciting.
Amazing. So great. And then he's like, he's like, Corrigan, you know, your name's Corrigan. He's like, that was the name of like the florist in Boyle, his hometown. It's like, it was a front for the IRA. And I was like, I just joked back. I was like, oh, fun fact. Same with my family.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, that's an IRA name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very IRA name. I was losing it because he was like, oh, that was the name of the florist. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And then, part of it too was Corey had, in the Q&A section, had kind of asked a question about Irish film, how so much of it has to do with the IRA and the Troubles and blah, not blah, blah, but all those things, and kind of asked a question about that. So then it was even funnier when then she finally gives him her name. And he's like, oh yeah, that was a front for the IRA. And I lose it. I'm like, of course it was. He's like, and then when he was like, it's a very IRA name, I was like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing and wonderful. Like, please stop. I can't.
Which leads to great photos. The girl taking the photos for us was amazing because she just kept clicking away the entire time.
Yeah.
So during this several minutes of conversation, there's just all these pictures, but there's one that like Kristen is just full on head tossed back in laughter. Like, it's
and he's looking at me like, like this is a like wonderful. Oh gosh, he was just delightful.
Yeah. It was great because when we came out of it too, Kristen's like first thing like you said was like, he makes great eye contact. And it was like, you look at there's two pictures that there's like one where he's just like, you guys are like laser focused in like looking each other in the eye, and then there's one where he and I are looking each other in the eye, and I'm like, yeah, you're totally right.
Like when he was talking to me, like, you know, it was like, didn't know who I was, but it was like looked you in the eye, and it was like, thanks so much for coming, like you guys this is so wonderful, like definitely meant it. He wasn't just like, oh, this is cool, whatever, let's take a picture. It was like I felt like he wanted you to know, like he appreciated the fact that you enjoyed his work and that you came to listen to him speak. And
and he had conversations with everyone. Like he was not concerned with like holding up the line or anything like that. If people wanted to tell him like what they were doing while we were waiting in line for photos, he was like, yeah, sure, let's talk about it. And they give you like a quick few bits of advice, and it was delightful. So you guys, Chris O'Dowd is everything you imagine him to be and more. And more. Like, it was just such a wonderful experience when you get to meet someone that you admire so much and who's like, you know, you watch everything that he makes and, you know, you have an idea of what they're going to be like in your head, but you never know. Like, that could all be like a giant front for them being like a douchebag.
The worst,
But it was one of the most satisfying sort of like meetings with someone that I've ever had. I was just like, it's
perfect. It was perfect. It was
great. Has been it's been my experience at the Newport Beach Film Festival in general, because I think of like people that I've met there, like Ethan Embry. The first time I ever met Ethan Embry was there, and we just talked for a while there. Or I met like Rick Gomez from Band of Brothers there, and he, you know, just like talked and was super enthusiastic and cool. And it's like, this just seems like the vibe of Newport Beach Film Festival. Like they actively get people who are, you know, really interactive and not standoffish, and they want.
But I feel like it's a smaller of like a film festival. It's like a smallish one. So usually, and he even said like they do a lot of shorts and they try to highlight these kind of different things that are there. And so I feel like just the kind of feeling of that festival in general is just a lot more like of a small town feel almost. And so people aren't like they're getting and ask questions by people who don't really know how to ask questions, you know? So that's what I feel like makes it kind of fun. This guy was clearly not a professional in like interviewing or had and didn't have any kind of like, it was just, so that I think can even add sort of like, they come down here knowing that's like the people you're going to meet are the people who really like you, because this is like, that's the only reason for people to show up, you know? And his hall wasn't even full. We were convinced, I'm like, oh, these people, it's going to be so packed. I mean, Moon Boy is like so popular, right? Everybody watches. Oh, nobody does? Oh, okay. Oh, great.
Our sense of what is like super popular is always a little skewed. It's always skewed. You know, the rest of the world. I'm like, it's on PBS. Doesn't everybody watch PBS?
Come on, you guys.
Come on, you guys. Yeah. But I also think, you know, too, it's like just, there's so many events, and it was a Sunday, and like I just randomly happened upon it in my email. So I think and they probably do that intentionally. Like they don't want it to be something where like it sells out and there's too many people and you have to turn them away. They're like, no, it's just like an intimate conversation, you know? So it was so great, you guys.
So great. Ugh.
Man, so that was like a crazy weekend. Aisha Tyler, of Chris O'Dowd, of just like doing fun things. So it was a win.
We won. We won. We
won.
really crushed it. Sunday was a good day. Really good day.
Didn't even have to use my AK.
You know, and it was great because after that I went on a Duffy boat ride and the weather was beautiful and it was like this beautiful afternoon and just a
great day. Yeah, I went and had Long Island's in Anaheim and it was delightful.
There you go.
Hey, before we move on to the real pop culture things and the movie trailers and so forth, I do want to point out, as I said in the beginning of this is our 99th episode. Yeah, not including our specials and things like that, but this is our 99th episode.
Oh, sorry. We're done with that.
So I feel like it's appropriate. Our 99th was, this Chris O'Dowd thing and everything. So 100 is coming up, which we will not be doing next week because we will be recovering from our weekend in Oregon. We are spending next weekend in Portland. But then approximately a week or so after that, we're going to throw like a fan cave party with homies and like do a thing and do some retrospectives and stuff. So if you have like favorite clips and stuff you want us to include in episode 100, do let us know favorite interviews that you liked or things like that. We're just going to like throw together things that we love and we're going to talk about them and we're going to talk more pop culture and we're going to have drinks and hang with friends.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. In the meantime, we won't leave you hanging. So we are going to try, we're going to, one of our, in between there at some point, we're going to try and get Owen back in here. He's been actually asking me about it when he can come back on. So I think we might get Owen on to talk about Rogue One a little bit more.
Yes, and if you don't know who Owen is, that's our little child correspondent, our 6-year-old correspondent.
Our 6-year-old correspondent Owen. So we're going to try and get him on in between to give you a little mini-sode there where we can chat some Star Wars. So we'll try and give you little fun things in between waiting for 100 because we're super excited about it. It's super fun. And it's actually funny because today Facebook reminded me like, we care about your memories. And they the picture they shared was from 2014, and it was when we went to Stacked to get those cookie butter shakes. And it was that first time when we did my we went and got the microphone. Like it was me getting set up to like start doing the fan game. And so I was like, when I didn't cry, but I was like, oh my God, like Facebook, like I know, like, sometimes I hate you and it's creepy the way that you know things about me. And like that was the memory you chose. But it was this time of year. It was this exact time of year in 2014 when I started helping out. So anyway,
I love that. Happy anniversary, Kristen.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for liking me, I guess. I don't know. They like me. They really like me. So anyway, that's that. So anyway, we'll be excited, but we've got some trailers that we really need to get into because I'm very excited about them.
Big time. Should we also start with most enthusiasm on this?
I mean,
we don't want to run out of time, obviously.
Yeah, we don't. So I mean, I obviously want to talk about the one that I want to talk about, but we should let's do the Ghostbusters first. Because that's
you're right. Before we get into movie trailers, because this isn't a movie trailer.
Yeah.
The Ghostbusters has released a few things in the past couple days. First, there's like an Empire magazine spread with photos. For some reason, Melissa McCarthy doesn't have a photo in this.
Okay, I thought maybe my page wasn't loading and I was missing hers. And I'm like, how come I can't find the Melissa McCarthy one? Okay.
Yeah, I went through several articles too. I was like, where's the Melissa McCarthy one? So the other three each get like their own poster, and they're super cool looking on these like black backgrounds with quotes on them.
Great quote. Yeah, really great quote. So.
And then there's like a cool one of like all of them that's like from Empire magazine. One of the, I don't know if it's the cover or what, but you guys, they're super cool and you have to check them out. And I just keep getting more and more excited for this movie. On top of that, High C has been doing a huge promotional blast for Ecto Cooler. It's going to be released next month. And they're doing it in juice boxes and in can form, just the way you drank it when you were a kid.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to buy all of them. Well, I was more of a juice box one because those were the ones we put in our lunches. So I actually put boxes. So that one's kind of more of my like go-to if I had one.
Yeah, the few times that I was allowed to drink that kind of thing because we were like organic family that had nothing but like tofu and things like that.
We were not.
It was out of the can.
The question is, are they going to bring back
puncture the top?
Yeah.
Huh?
Are they going to bring back the ice cream truck ice cream that was the Ecto?
That's never left, has it? Don't they still have that?
Oh, I don't know. I just assumed it also left.
If you go to an ice cream truck, the things are like all exactly the same things that they had 20 years ago.
I guess I can go.
Like
I guess I
the
just
old
assumed
Ninja
that they
Turtles.
were gone.
No, yeah, I think they still have those. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Okay.
They haven't been in an ice cream truck in a while. Not in an ice cream truck. I've never been in an ice cream truck. Weird. I haven't
I
been.
hope not.
One
That
hasn't.
really means you're getting murdered. Wow.
One hasn't been in my neighborhood in a while, but
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see about
Yeah.
that. And
well, in
then,
addition, to the Ecto Cooler. So tomorrow, for those of you who don't know, is Administrative Professionals Day. So you feel free to send me flowers or pencil, whatever, a bouquet of freshly sharpened pencils if you'd wish.
Yeah.
And so they've released this sort of how do you even say this? How do you say it?
Vignette.
Vignette. Oh yeah, I knew that. That's how you say that. So that's not, I guess I didn't realize that's how you spelled it.
The
Okay.
spelling through you.
The spelling did throw me. So they released this vignette with Chris Hemsworth's character, right, who plays their Janine of sorts. They're kind of their admin for the Ghostbusters kind of company, and he's just like a dummy, but like so great.
One of them refers to him as a Ken doll with the inside scooped out.
Yeah, with the inside scooped out, and so it's so funny too because this is Kristen Wiig, Leslie Jones, and Kate McKinnon. Again, Melissa McCarthy wasn't really being interviewed, I guess. Maybe she's just too busy and important. But anyway, those three, who we know to be like powerhouses of comedy, like they're those two of them are the funniest thing that SNL really has going. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And then Kristen Wiig, obviously, who's always been hysterical. They are going on, and Kristen was saying he had her and Melissa in tears. He was so funny with his like
and improvising.
And I'm like thinking to myself, like, really? And so I'm even more excited. And when they've shown the clips of him, he is very funny. It's like it's almost like an Andy Dwyer, but less goofy. Like he's kind of almost more like serious about it, which is weird, but the same kind of just like does things where like, what?
Like he just doesn't know he's an idiot.
Yeah, just doesn't realize that he is. And so it's a great video. You really should watch it. And his name is Kevin. And I've already decided, I've told Corey, I was like, I'm going to get a dog, boy or girl, and I'm naming it Kevin because it's just wonderful. And he's just, I feel like might end up stealing some of those scenes from those ladies, which I feel like is a tall order.
That's hard to do. Yeah,
that would be a really tall order. So so I'm like, kudos to you, because I feel like I'd walk into that and be super intimidated as someone who's not necessarily done a whole ton of comedy and being kind of pushed into that. And I want to be like, dude, Marvel, you should have made Thor funnier because apparently the guy's a hoot.
Yeah, the guy is apparently hysterical, and they're just like, it's just crazy because he's like ridiculously funny and talented and handsome. You're like, how can you be all of these things all at once? Of course, we will link to that video on electricfeast.com if you check out the blog because you want to see it. You want to see it. It'll make you smile and laugh. I was legitimately laughing out loud multiple times.
Oh yeah, me too. He's like, they kept getting dirty, or the priest's like, oh, it's in the fish tank and that whole thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't handle it.
And when he there's a point at which he Melissa McCarthy asks if there's sugar in her coffee, and he takes a sip to see if he would put sugar in it, and then he just spits it everywhere, and it's like, oh, I hate coffee, but there's sugar in it. Yeah. And you're like, it's just so bonkers and ridiculous. Like, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Just watch it and stop being tools about Ghostbusters because it's gonna be rad.
See, look, there's a dude in it, and it's Thor. So I feel like you should be excited.
Calm down, men. There's a dude. Do you think that's why they released his character vignette first, just for dudes to be like, look, there's a guy and he has a part in this. Men's rights activists.
I think because it's a coordinated attack because Huntsman isn't doing very well. And so they want people to remember that Chris Hemsworth is great.
Yeah. Remember, you like this guy.
Remember? He's wonderful and
nobody
charming.
forgets they don't like Hemsworth.
That's true. I know.
By the way, this just made me think of something. You know how we're constantly talking about how we don't understand why Hollywood keeps on trying to push Margot Robbie on us?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this yesterday because I mentioned something about it to my class too. I think I figured out why I have no feelings about Margot Robbie.
Oh, please.
And why it seems like it's weird that she's they're trying to make her no big star. It's because you don't want to hang out with her. It's not that not that she seems like a bad person or anything like that, but think about the stars that everybody gets talking about, like Jennifer Lawrence and stuff like that. It's if she appears on any talk show at any point, That's going to go viral the next day because she said something hilarious. She did something hilarious. Have you ever seen a Margot Robbie clip from a talk show?
Yeah. No, wait, was it Margot Robbie? I don't even. Is she British?
You don't even know.
Is she? What's her normal? What's her?
She's Australian. She's
Australian. No, I did. I have. But this is going to be, and this I will grant you is a Kristen issue with the way that her delivery was. So she's telling the story, and it's already kind of a pretentious story because they're name dropping, and it's Jimmy Fallon, who isn't great with helping anyway. And so she's telling. He's like leading her into the story, which she's like, it almost seems like
Prince Harry one.
Yeah, like she'd forgotten it. And I'm like, it could have been really great if but he gave too much away trying to get her to tell it, where it's like it ruined the punchline. And it could have been a really great story of her being like, okay, so what had happened, And I show up at this party, and I even forget who the famous singer is that's having her over, and it's like, oh, we're best friends, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, and she refers to the singer by first name, not by like first and last
it's like,
name.
Anyway, so it's just like this weird story, but it's like she like. Butchers her own story, and it's like the point of it was that she was in a photo booth picture with Prince Harry, but didn't realize it was him. But she makes it sound like, I didn't realize it was him, but she like almost doesn't care that she didn't realize it was him. Where I'm like, what's funny about it is that you'd be like, and then I didn't know it was Prince Harry, and I would, I threw him on his shoes.
You have
or
to
something.
Act like then you were impressed.
Then you were right where it's like, because like what it was that Jimmy Fallon was more impressed by the fact than she was. Yeah. Because she was just like,
and she was just like, it's not like he was wearing a crown. Like,
how was I supposed to know it was him? Like, almost like it was, she was bitter at him and bitter at Jimmy for making her tell this. And I'm like, oh, okay.
And then she like also says like, and then I kind of insulted him by saying he looked like Ed Sheeran or something like that. And you're just like, well, and now you insulted Prince Harry and Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, both of them together.
Jeez.
So for me, and so that for me, it was just more of like, I'm like, your delivery is off here. You really got to be more excited about it, So it was like one of this. It was underwhelming. I can give you that. But same thing. I guess you're right. That makes sense because I wasn't like, oh, she seems so much fun. I was like, oh.
And if you look at her Instagram and her Twitter, because I was like, I wanted to test my theory yesterday. So I was like, okay, I'm going to watch, like, someone had edited together like a thing on YouTube that was like funny and cute Margot Robbie moments. And so I watched them and I was like, none of these are really all that funny. They're like, some of them are cute, but they're not really funny. And then like I went to her Twitter and Instagram, and it's like her Instagram is just like all her hanging out with hot celebrities and being hot everywhere. And like, there's nothing, she's not like, and that's fine. Like her personality is what it is. And that's cool. Be you, Margot. I'm not like
hating on it.
So she's an asshole or anything like that or hating on it. But I think this is why it seems so weird when like they keep putting her in things and stuff like that. And why I'm like, why do they keep trying to push us on her? Because she may be a great actress. I don't know. I've seen her in literally zero things, but it's like, it's merely the fact that it's like, you don't have an interest in her. So she's not like a star. She's not a star. That's the way it works. Like,
I guess that makes sense. I don't really want to hang out with. It's more of like I feel like I don't relate to her very much. Like when she was telling that story, I was like, oh, okay, but I can relate to like a story of someone like of like Jennifer Lawrence being like, oh, and I totally thought it was even though she's like thinking it's Elizabeth Taylor when it wasn't, but like we've all done something so horrific where you run from the situation, or when like her dress, when she's talking about her dress like being unzipped, she's like, because when sometimes you eat and then you feel fat and so you unzip your pants at the table, like we've all done that. And so like the story was so relatable. I was like, but I can't even like get there with her because she didn't really seem like it should have been, and I'm like, I feel like you're not trying to care if any of us care about this story. You don't seem to care about it, so I also don't, so pass.
So that's my Margot Robbie theory anyway.
All right. Well, sorry, Margot. Maybe she probably wouldn't like us either, let's be honest.
Yeah, we wouldn't hang out. I think that's fine, Yeah. We don't all need to hang out with each other.
That's
true.
You
can just be like, you do your thing, I do my thing. Life is good. No disrespect.
Head nod at parties.
Yeah, head nod at parties. Exactly. Anyways, moving on.
Talk about what I really want to talk about, please.
Yes, let's talk about what we need to talk about.
Last week, you remember, I gushed because we had stills from Magnificent Seven, which I've been waiting for anything from. And as we were very excited, we're like, it looks great. It's got Denzel. It's got Chris Pratt. It's got Ethan. It's got all these great people in it. We're super excited. And then the next day, they drop a teaser trailer that could not have been more perfect, you guys.
I love it so much.
It kind of starts out, and it's got this great music that's playing, and it's these beautiful.
They use House of the Rising Sun
in a great way, and it's not. And so one of my favorite versions of House of the Rising Sun is the White Buffalo version from Sons of Anarchy. But this version was like and his version's very slow, because that show is so sad and terrible. Whereas like this one, they like kind of picked it up a little bit, and it was like the ending scenes where they're like cutting all of the vitamins. Like how many? And it's this great. Peter Sarsgaard. He's so many A's in his name. Is like the bad guy.
There's a million.
And he is like, how many did you say they were? And then the next thing is it's like a boom, 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 like of all 7 guys, and you're like, ah! And Chris Pratt is obviously like the comedic relief on the team, and no one else really I think Ethan Hawke says one thing, but then everybody else is just kind of quiet. You don't hear from Vincent D'Onofrio or
you kind of see like what their skill is more than
kind of
like
see why they're being brought onto the team. And so apparently what's happening is this town's being kind of terrorized, and this woman who I think her husband or somebody gets murdered, and she's like out for revenge essentially. So she hires Denzel, and then he puts together this team of ragtag kind of gunslingers to help them do whatever. But it looks awesome. It's like what you want it to be in a Western, a shoot 'em up. They're riding horses on ridges, which I think I had said I wanted. There's the slow video of them walking 7 abreast down a street. And I was like, guys, this is like the best thing ever. I mean, I've watched it like 20 times. I'm so excited.
That's the thing. I keep watching it, and every single time I watch it, I get chills. Like every time. It's going to be so good. I can't even really put it into words of like the excitement level that I'm feeling, because I was so excited before. And you can tell my hands are doing the weird claw thing where I'm like, oh my God, it's so great. Because it's going to be so good. And I feel like it's not really, oh, you guys just go see it. Please watch the trailer. Please understand. Just like I mean, I watched it. I teared up. I'm not even going to lie to you. I got a little teary towards the end when the music was playing, and it's like, it was just so great. And I don't even think I have words to explain how much I loved it other than that. And like, I know I say I cry at a lot of things, granted. I mean, there's lots of things. I cried a little bit at the Independence Day trailer that we're going to talk about. Yeah.
I'm a crier. So, I mean, I know that it feels like it doesn't mean a lot, but
you have to embrace that. Yeah.
But this is really good, and it's going to be great. And it was funny. I actually messaged Corey and producer Bree, because I'd sent an email to my dad and my brother with the link, and the subject line was all caps, and it was like, "We are seeing this opening day." And then you open the email, and it was like, "Ah!" That's it. And then a link to the trailer. My dad sends me back an email that says, quote, "I like it." That's it. No exclamation point. No, can't wait to see it. No, when does it come out? Just, I like it. And I was so horrified by this. I'm like,
Chris like immediately messages me and producer Bree like, what?
Just give me something. Like, he's never on my level. Whenever something that I'm like, hey, Pops is going to be pumped about this, and I send it to him, that's always the response I get. Like, yeah, cool. Yeah, I guess we can see that. And I'm like, no, like, just be like, yes, like, can't wait. Anything. I would just want one exclamation point, really, is all I'm asking for. I don't feel like that's a lot to ask. Like, I know you're not going to be at 11. I'm always running at like an 11 or 12 on the excitement scale. I don't expect you to be there, but I need you at least a 7 or 6.
Like, Kristen gets her enthusiasm from her mother's side.
You guys, my life is just really hard, and it's so difficult sometimes to really communicate with people, because we miss each other.
That's why we have a podcast.
It's true.
Because nobody is ever quite on the level. Just talking to the ether and hope someone else.
But you guys should watch it. I'm probably actually going to watch it now after we get off of here, because I'm really excited about it. And I feel like I haven't watched it in like a day or two. So
I put it up on my TV screen to watch it. I mean, that's what I put everything that we were going to talk about on my, like, in a queue on YouTube, and watched them on my TV. So I watched it big, and I was just like, yes. Yes. Amazing.
Anyway, next trailer.
Yeah.
What do we want to do next?
Thing that also gives tingles and tears. Independence Day Resurgence.
Oh, good.
We talked about in December when I was in Hawaii, they had released their first trailer for it, and we were ecstatic about how great it looks. This new trailer, we get more of the characters. We get to see more of the plot. We have characters you're surprised to see back, and some old friends. They approach for the first time Will Smith's absence, you know, showing.
And it's really sad. It looks like he's died or something, because he's like, your dad was the bravest man. And I'm like, oh my God. But I'm excited for him. I'm excited for Dylan, right? Is that his name?
Dylan?
Is that the kid's name?
Like his character?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know.
No.
I don't remember his name. I haven't.
Okay. Well, anyway.
I don't remember names from trailers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it wasn't in the trailer. I was just trying to think of what his name was from the first one, when he was like cute and small. Anyway, the point is this.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. No, I see.
But it's gonna be. It looks great. President. So Bill. I was gonna call him President Pullman.
Yeah, I know. I keep doing that too. I've said it like twice today.
Anyway, Bill Pullman is like, looks a little worse for wear. I think maybe he's got a big
white beard.
Got a big white beard. The way that he talks just seems still very traumatized almost, and so I'm wondering kind of what his story has been through these past 20 years of this. And then you see Liam Hemsworth kind of taking a front and center. He seems to kind of step up to take almost the Will Smith character, and he's with
Jeff Goldblum.
Thank you, Jeff Goldblum's character a lot, and so it looks interesting. It looks the same kind of thing. Like the ships are giant. And I loved the thing where it was like, we've had 20 years to prepare, and it's like, but so have they. And you're like, ah,
like, oh crap.
Yeah,
that's right.
So it's gonna be one of those movies that's just gonna be epic and fun and great. So I
saw this story that was saying that like Susan Sarandon, I think, was actually approached to be in it, and she turned it down because she said it was incoherent. And I'm like, what? Okay, I'm watching all these trailers, and I'm like, if it is even anything close to what it looks like in these trailers, I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm I don't know how you can be. Maybe she didn't see the first one, so she didn't understand.
Just like, what is this even about? I don't understand.
I don't know how you get much more clear, as in like, we beat them 20 years ago and they're pissed, so now they're back for revenge, essentially.
Yep. So it's pretty straightforward.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm very excited about it. So it's gonna be great.
Looks so good. Go to electricfeast.com, check out the trailer on our it's linked to on our page there, and it's so good. I just felt so many feels watching it.
Lots of feels. At the end when he kind of walks into like the fog, when you're like, don't go in there. Oh.
Yeah, it's gonna be I'm stoked.
Epic. It's gonna be epic.
We also had a XMen trailer,
which was intense.
Oh my god.
There was a lot of feels happening there too.
Yeah. Like one thing I like that you get to see Oscar Isaac's face this time.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't know we were going to get to see that at all. I thought he was going to be covered the entire time. Gosh.
It looks really, it was an intense trailer, but you got to see a little bit more of the characters interacting, and you got apparently, and I mean, Jennifer Mystique is like front and center in this one. She's like, you know, she's kind of left Magneto here to help out. I mean, she's always been kind of towing the line in these movies, of going between the two sides, sort of. But it looks really, and I love the end. I was bummed because people kept saying like, "Oh, there's a cameo in this new trailer," but then we were going to talk about it. I'm like, I guess I should watch it, but because I didn't want to ruin it, even though I'm sure the next trailer that comes out. Although actually, I think this is the last trailer.
I think this is supposed to be like the final one.
So I don't want to give away kind of the final shot of it was sweet, and I was like, I'm a little bit bummed that I watch it, but I still watched it, so fine, whatever.
It definitely would have been ruined before.
You're probably right. You're probably right. So maybe I'm overthinking it, but I was like, and I did get kind of goosebumps, and it was like just great. I think it's going to be really. I think it'll be great. I mean, they've done such a good job so far, so.
Yeah. And I always love, like, I mean, one of the strengths of these movies is the relationship between, like, as much as this is going to be about sort of a different generation of X-Men, the relationship between Eric and Charles, you know, which I like in this trailer, it almost feels to me, it's like Charles is like the older brother who's trying to stop his petulant little brother from doing things like, Eric, don't go there. Come back, Eric. No, Mom's going to be pissed when I tell her about this later.
Yeah.
You know, and so seeing them and sort of their continuing tension is, you know, he's obviously leaning towards the baddies, and seeing that relationship, and then all these sort of new characters in it. And this time they say explicitly, which they only hinted at in Days of Future Past, that Quicksilver is Magneto's son.
and then she's like, what? And he's like, oh, because him and my mom. And she's like, no, yeah, I get it.
So you get that lightheartedness in it.
Yeah,
as
you're
well.
right. And that's what I've always always loved about X-Men is even in the ones when they're old. So even the Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen version, it was that same I feel like Charles never gives up on Eric. Mm-hmm. They're always fighting against. He always hopes that maybe this time he'll, kind of turn around.
Right.
And I know there's just something about that where I'm like, what? That's like I just really like that for some reason. I feel like it makes it a lot more complicated than just like he's the bad guy and I'm the good guy and we are going at it. It almost gives me a little bit of a Civil War. I know we talk again. I'm sorry, I mean the Civil War, the actual Civil War. Although technically, I guess it could work
not
as
like
well
Captain
for
America,
Captain America. But that same kind of deal where it's like they initially have, they were on the same side together and they were brothers in that, and then this event happens that kind of tears them apart, and they still love each other, but they feel so strongly about their individual causes that they can't see eye to, they can't see eye to eye, and they hate the fact that they have to fight each other. But he's like, as much as I love you, like I will kill you if you get in my way, because it's just makes it just adds all these layers to it, which I've always loved. And so I agree with you, and you do see a little bit more of that in this one. And so it's almost that's how I kind of see it, as like these two guys that were serving together. It always reminds me of I'm sorry, this is like now turning into a really boring lecture. So General Hancock from the Civil War, and then a guy named Louis Armistead from the Civil War. So they were serving together, and then Lou, I'm going to call him because that's what he calls him in the book. He joins the Confederacy. He's from the South, so he goes to fight for his state. And then, as we all know, maybe you don't actually. Winfield Scott Hancock goes to fight for the North, and it's the same thing where they end up being at the same battle when. Lou dies, and he actually leaves part of his effects to Hancock's wife because they were such good friends, and it's just this like heart-wrenching thing. And that's one of the things that I find so fascinating about that conflict together in the first place, is because there's such a familial bond between these men who felt but at the same time, like I can't get past I don't know, I just find it so interesting of how you love someone and yet you like shoot at them.
Right. That's a good way of breaking it down. You love,
right? How do you do that? Like, how does that? Like, what? It's just heartbreaking. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'll stop talking about the Civil War now. It won't be the last time, I'm sure. But for this,
it absolutely will not. Just for now.
Just for now. We'll stop. But anyway,
but all of that I think is relevant. I think that's a good parallel to our dear mutant friends. You know. That's always what it is. It's just sort of civil war between factions of mutants that feel differently about the human problem.
Right.
Generally.
Right.
So check out the trailer. It looks really good. I was seeing, when it was on Facebook yesterday, everybody seemed to have positive reactions to it. And I, again, always love X-Men. So really I'm easy to please with them. But it's always nice when it like looks super good.
Right.
Like
totally
into it. And then we had the trailer for The Founder, with Michael Keaton, which is the story of the founding of McDonald's.
Right.
And it's funny because apparently this movie is made by the makers of like The Blind Side, really like feel good type fare.
This is not a feel good movie.
Well, and that's the thing that cracks me up about this trailer is the tone of the trailer feels like a feel-good movie, but you're like, this guy's just like screwing everyone over left and right. Yeah. Like
this guy's actually
seems like kind of a bad guy. So it has this very strange like tonal disconnect between like, am I supposed to look at this guy like he's like this amazing entrepreneur who did cool things and now we all have McDonald's, or should I hate him?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he just seems like a giant dick.
Yeah.
He's like, he's like, so how did I do it? Persistence. She's like, oh, great, the American way. Persistence.
Okay, cool.
This guy really did it. And the more and it's like the music is upbeat, and like because it's like McDonald's, so it's like bright and yellow and colors and all these things, and so you're like feeling it, but you're like, as you're listening to him, you're like, he's awful. Like these brothers who like had this idea and came up with it, and he basically exploits it, and then comes in, and when they're like, oh, we don't really want to do it your way, and he's like, which is funny, right? And he
did there.
Yeah, you see what I did there? When he comes in, and then they kind of try to like distance themselves, and then he's like, nope, too late. Like, I've got my hooks in this. I'm going to screw you over as much as possible. And he like doesn't care. It's like,
yeah,
they're looking at him like, you were our partners. And there's at one part, and they're like, you were partners with these brothers. And he's like, I don't care. Get rid of them. Like, I could not care less, you know? And you're like, what happened to you? What happened to you?
Yeah. What is going on, Ebenezer? Like I think, you know, maybe part of why the tone is like that is that it's supposed to be sort of that kind of critique of that American dream or that business sort of perspective
or
of
McDonald's
the way that you step on
general.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, and McDonald's is kind of an easy target in general, but I think like maybe starting with him, like you said, with the, you know, how did I do it? Persistence, you know, which makes you think like, oh yeah. And then when you actually look at how people really build empires, it's not persistence.
Yeah.
It's, you know, walking all over people, exploiting people, and doing a lot of shady business in general, most of the time. Not across the board, but a lot of time when people try to act like they just, you know, I just worked hard.
Yeah.
Like,
I just believed in myself. I'm like, and you stepped on all the people along the way.
Right. So. Exactly. So, you know, maybe that's an intentional choice on their part to be like, you know, this is the reality of what this kind of thing is like.
But Michael Keaton looks great in it.
Yeah, and he kind of talks like Beetlejuice a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say his voice is a little funny. And then Ron Swanson is in it, and he plays one of the brothers that gets stepped on, which is a very break from normal character. Yeah. So,
and he's unrecognizable until you hear his voice. Like when he was like sitting at the table and all that, I was like, oh, who is that actor? And then he talked, and I was like, what the Nick Offerman?
Nick Offerman?
What's happening? So he physically looks very different, and it's a very different sort of character,
right?
Which should be
interesting.
I think it's gonna be, and BJ Novak is in it, and like it's like every person they show in it, you're like, oh,
that guy, yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. I don't know if I'll rush to the theater to see it, but I'll see it somewhere. The final trailer to talk about here is The Girl on the Train. And Kristen, you have not read the book, right?
I haven't, and I actually had to stop watching the trailer because it was stressing me the hell out. Like, it's very stressful, you guys. I don't know if you've read it or if you've seen it, but first of all, it's probably not super safe to watch around other people. It's a little sexy time for some part of it. But it was just, I was like feeling very stressed out, but I love the fact that CJ Craig was in it. So I'm just going to go with that kind of first reaction. It's West Wing. It's,
Allison Janney.
Allison Janney. I just call her CJ Craig. So I remember her running. She's in it, and she plays the cop, which I'm like loving. I really loved her. Actually, I'm like, oh, I hope she's in it a lot. And you know, Emily Blunt looks crazy. I don't know. So anyway, I won't say more because I haven't read it, and I didn't finish watching it because I'm like, I can't with this right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I wanted to hear your sort of take on it, having not read it, because you know, Keo and I watched it this morning, and we've read the book and we've critiqued it to no end because we both really liked it and then thought the end sucked. But the funny thing about it is that like I was like, I don't feel like this trailer represents the book super well. Because I feel like it's trying to sort of play off of like Gone Girl, and which is the inevitable comparison people make between these stories. And then like sex it up a lot. And obviously sex has stuff to do with this story and everything, but like it really isn't a huge part of anything in the narrative. And what it's mostly about is like a woman who is like a total alcoholic who, you know, this is what is like coloring everything. So she's basically riding this train past like her ex's place every day and kind of gets caught up in the fiction of this couple she thinks to be the perfect couple. And then, you know, something happens to one of them and like it's like spirals down and she becomes very invested in it. So the entire time, like, you're not really sure, like, she can't trust herself because she's so drunk all the time. And you know, and then obviously she can't be trusted by others because of this, and it's more about like this character. I told Keo, I was like, I feel like in reality, the story is more like Vertigo than it is like Gone Girl.
Gone Girl.
Because it's less about like a woman who may or may not have done it or things like that than it is about a woman who was doing something she shouldn't have, and it gets her caught up, and she has to try to figure out what the heck's going on.
Right.
While everybody else is like, what the heck were you doing? You know, it's like Jimmy Stewart looking through binoculars, watching his neighbors, or looking through his telescope, watching his neighbors. It's like she was doing a thing every day, and she has to try to like, and she gets caught up in all these lies.
Or Rear Window. I'm sorry. You said
I meant
Vertigo.
Rear Window, not Vertigo.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I meant Rear Window.
Okay.
Yeah, that would have been very confusing for people listening. Like, what? But yeah, Rear Window.
I hadn't seen Vertigo, so I was letting you run with it, and then I was like, okay, maybe it is. But then you said Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah. You're like, well, Jimmy Stewart's in that too.
Was he? I haven't seen Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I wasn't sure. Well, it was more the binoculars part where, you're right. Yeah. He's like being a creeper. But, okay. Yeah. For me, I guess if other than the fact that I felt it to be very stressful, and I think, other than that, and being like, and I was kind of weird. It felt like they were giving a lot away. Maybe they weren't.
They weren't, though. Yeah, not at all.
I guess for me, I was like, okay, I feel like, but now it was almost like a twist for me. I said I haven't read it and whatever, but I was like, oh, I kind of feel like that would have been a cool twist where it's like, oh, she sees something, and then it's like, oh, but then you happen to actually be somehow connected to this person, like that whole part. And I was like, oh, that kind of would have been a cool thing. I was like, I'm kind of afraid if I keep watching. Also, I don't really want to see where this goes. And that kind of deal. And for me, there seemed to be like a lot of like voyeurism in it. It seemed like there just seemed to be a lot of shots from like outside of windows of people having sex, and I'm like, I don't really know if I'm gonna see this movie. Probably not. Probably not gonna see it. Even though the people that are in it are people that I enjoy. So
yeah, I mean, you got Luke Evans, you've got Emily Blunt,
Justin
you have
Theroux, you have CJ Craig,
Allison Janney. So it's a great cast.
And maybe it'll be great, but I don't know. I wasn't like, it definitely wasn't something where I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna see this. I was kind of like, meh, no, I'm good.
Yeah,
pass.
Absolutely. So I'll see it for you and let you know.
Okay, sure. Yeah, go for it.
That's what I do.
Anyway, but yeah. So
those are our
not
movie
as
trailers.
excited about that one, but you know what I am excited about? Magnificent Seven. I don't know if we talked about this already. We've already talked about it. Right?
We may have mentioned.
I don't need to go back.
It's a thing we like.
Yeah.
Magnificent
and
Seven.
Also,
Chris O'Dowd.
And if real quick too on Chris Pratt, because it keeps popping up, he posts it every day. The reminder to do his like it's like a charity thing. So usually Omaze does this a lot for movies where you donate, and it's like a raffle almost. So you kind of donate to the cause, and then your name gets put in to be able to win a trip to the set of Guardians 2. And the video that he's made for it is extremely wonderful and charming. And he's just like being ridiculous and like riding around, and he'll like every time I watch it, like anytime it pops up my feed, I just sit there and watch it. It's like a minute and a half. I laugh hysterically every time he goes, and I can tell you who Star-Lord's father is. And he starts to say it, and James Gunn is like, no. He's like, I feel like you don't know what a spoiler is. He's like, yeah, dude, I had one on the back of my like 92 Toyota, whatever it is. And every time I just bust up laughing. It's so great. So, and if you want more Chris Pratt goodness other than the Magnificent Seven trailer, if you go to his Facebook or anything like that, you can check out. You donate to the Boys and Girls Club of his hometown. And then you get win a chance to be in, not in it, but go to the set of Guardians, which is super fun. So, So anyway, it's just
pretty delightful.
It's delightful. He's obviously the most delightful as well. So if he's ever at Newport Beach Film Festival,
oh my God, can you imagine?
Yeah, that would probably not have the same experience that we would have this last time. But anyway, that was it.
That's that. Okay, Kristen has to go back to work and all that jazz,
do.
but thank you for hanging with us on your lunch break today or listening to us later. However the heck you come across us, we're always glad to have you. Make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, wherever you can find us. Subscribe to us, rate and review us because it helps more people find us. And don't forget to share. If you like it, pass it around, spread the wealth. It's a good way. We're also on the Twitter and on the Facebook, Electric Fan Cave, and you can find us individually pretty easily. So, keep in touch. Don't be a stranger. All that jazz. So until next time, episode 100 and its interim things, I'm Corrigan Vaughn.
And I'm Kristen Latterell.
Peace out, everybody.
Take it easy, kids.